What if I told you this mid-drive UL certified fat tire e-bike comes in costing less than $2,000? That is exactly what the Heybike Alpha is. This mid-drive e-bike still has 2 wheels, is not a bring your own seat design. So how are they able to offer this e-bike at such a great price? Well, we'll be sure to get into all of that, run through the full specs, put that in-house Galaxy eDrive motor to the test up our hill climb, as well as give you some easy to swallow reasons you should and should not consider the Heybike Alpha. But before we get into all of that in this full review, let's take a closer look. Hey everyone, I am JT from eBike Escape. Not going to lead you along any longer. The Heybike Alpha is a $1,699 mid-drive UL certified fat tire e-bike. And what makes that deal even sweeter is that at time of filming, you could find the Alpha on sale and save a couple $100 off of that MSRP. So be sure to check the link in the description for the most current and up-to-date pricing. And if you do decide to make your own Heybike purchase after clicking that link, this is a free and easy way to show support to us here at eBike Escape. Thank you guys so much in advance for all the support. So before we talk specifics about the Alpha, who is Heybike? Heybike is a e-bike company that's been around for quite a number of years now. This is not the first e-bike on the channel that we reviewed from them. And if you quickly go over to their website and look at the other e-bikes that they offer some pretty cool feature-packed e-bikes at some great prices. And if that wasn't already clear, the Alpha follows that ethos to the T. Now let's talk specifics about the Heybike Alpha. Heybike Alpha is offered in 2 frame options. You get a step-through like you see here in this pearl white, and then you have a high step variation, which is offered in a black. What I do want to call out about the step through here is it has a very low step over height here. Barely have to get my knee past 90 to get in and out here. Now here's how I, a 5'7" rider with a 29-inch inseam, look on this e-bike. Very comfortable. Fitment, very easy to get on, like I said, because of that step through. I can get full leg extension, no problem. Just a quick note worth calling out as well. This seat is in its current lowest position here. See, I can't shove it down anymore. And that's gonna be simply because these bolts here go into the tube and stop the seat from going down. So you will either have to remove these bolts or cut your seat tube to get the lowest possible seat placement on this e-bike. The Heybike Alpha also has a fairly robust frame design, as it has a payload capacity of 400 pounds and tips the scales at around 72 pounds. Now that's a good general overview of the Alpha. Let's go ahead and bring you in close and look at some of the components. Starting up here in the front, we have these 26 by 4-inch fat tires with pretty aggressive tread. These are a unbranded tire. They are covered by these plastic fenders, both front and rear. Keeping that wheel attached, we have a bolt-on front axle. And then keeping you slowed down, we have these unbranded black hydraulic disc brakes that grab onto a 180 millimeter front rotor. We have this black stanchion Alpha branded front fork, which has a preload knob on the left, as well as a lockout knob over here on the right. Nice solid thud there on and off. Go ahead and give that a couple quick pushes for you. It's definitely a springy front fork, but it's gonna soak up some of those bumps nicely. And then before we move on, we have to talk about the lighting package that the Heybike Alpha has. Now, this is a place where you think an e-bike brand might skimp a little bit. Heybike didn't. What do I mean by that? Well, you get this really nice bright LED front headlight, which if you look here has these 2 orange spots, means that it has blinkers, both left and right. And then on the back, you will notice that this bike has blinkers in the rear, as well as is a actuated brake light. You get that nice Heybike branding both in the rear and in the front light. And then also hidden inside of this front headlight, quick headphone warning here, there is a horn, which is pretty loud, nice to have. Now, as we move our way up to the cockpit, on the side of the head tube here, you will notice we have bolt holes on each side. Nice cable wrapping all the way up into the cockpit. We do not have an adjustable stem or anything like that. We have a very straight set of handlebars here. And then up here in the cockpit, we have a non-locking black grip, unbranded hydraulic disc brake lever, all the buttons you need to operate that display, which we'll come back to. We get a 8-speed Shimano trigger shifter down here on the bottom, non-locking grip and lever that match the other side, as well as a twist grip throttle. Now, this is a mid-drive e-bike, of course, so throttles are not always a given. However, when it gets to the riding portion, we'll be sure to talk about some of the interesting things Heybike did to hopefully prolong your drivetrain with that throttle. Now let's talk about this display. It is a color LCD display, and here's a look at the buttons. that you use to actuate and move everything on the display. You have a up down button. You will notice if you hold the down button, you can get into walk mode. Hold the up button, that is how you turn on the headlights. These are your blinker buttons, both left and right. And you have your memory button and horn. Now back to the display, you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner, we get that really nice battery percentage as well as battery bar. We have a Bluetooth icon in the upper right, which means that this display does have app connectivity. Front and center, we have our miles per hour, and on the outside of that, we have our speed, as well as on the right here, this purple section of it is the amount of power that the bike is giving you. We have our odometer down there at the bottom and our pedal assist level. And we have 0 to 5 levels of pedal assist. And if you push that M button, you get odometer, current trip, max miles per hour the bike's reached, average miles per hour, current voltage in the battery, and the current amps the bike is giving you, current wattage output of the bike as well. And then you have a time, this is a run time for how long the bike has been on, and back to odometer. Now there are some advanced settings, which if you push the plus and minus button up and down, if you reference the Heybike manual, it gives you all the information you need to adjust the settings that you will need to, such as maybe your max miles per hour, brightness of the display, units of measure, things like that. And then you just hold those two buttons and it throws you right back to the main display here. This bike does have app connectivity. Now to connect to that app, what you're gonna do first is obviously download the Heybike app from whichever app store you use. Then you will, on your screen, click on the Heybike app. It's going to pull it up. Do you want to allow it to send notifications? No. You're going to click that big add bike icon there. And right away, Heybike comes up right there listed. You're going to click on that to connect to it. You're going to click those two chain links on the right to connect. Give it a moment to connect. Do you want to add this bike? Yes, unless you have multiple Heybikes around. And here we are at the main screen for this app. Heybike is a little behind here as everything is still Christmas themed. And I did freshly download this from the store. But here you go. Here's a look at everything that you can do right there. Front and center, you can change how many pedal assist levels you have. You can turn your bike on and off. Quick word of warning, if you turn the bike off, you cannot turn the bike back on without that Bluetooth connectivity. Then if you click in the upper right-hand side, you can rename your bike, change, personalized settings for riders. If maybe one rider likes 5 levels of pedal assist, but another one only likes 3. You can also personalize, which means you can change the current units of measure. And under other settings here, you can actually immediately change the backlight of the display, reset your trip, and then also reset all of your default settings. Now, one thing that I noticed was missing from here, even when you're under personalized, is you cannot change that top speed. Something that you can do inside of the advanced settings. You can't even turn that down if you wanted to. And then here we are back at the main screen. You down here at the bottom, currently we can click that Christmas tree. This is your ride setting. You can keep track of all your rides that you've done on your bike. Then you can go here to store locator, which maybe could help if you need some maintenance done. And on the right here is just kind of your profile settings, how many miles you've ridden with them and how long you have actually ridden your bike. And that's it. Overall, it's a very basic app. Adds a little bit of extra connectivity to your bike. And the nice thing about that being an app and having those firmware updates is that if Heybike adds anything to the Alpha or really any of their e-bikes that have that Bluetooth connectivity in the future, they're able to push out firmware updates. We have seen that from other e-bike manufacturers. It's kind of really a cool way for them to keep up with tech or maybe make some really cool adjustments. One other nice feature I almost forgot to talk about on the Heybike display is that down here on the bottom, you have this really nice USB-C charging port. So you can use the e-bike battery to charge any device that accepts USB-C. Now, as we move our way down from the cockpit, you get this nice Heybike branding here on the down tube, as well as you can see where those cables go in. Here is our battery door here on the bottom side, which has this little knob that you push down, and then you have access to the battery. Now, to get the battery out, you're gonna need your keys here. Put those in the bike and twist them towards the back. There's another latch that the battery will get stuck on. You pull that down, get your hands in there, and you should be able to pull the battery out. Now, again, this is a UL certified battery, meaning it is UL 2271 compliant, as well as the entire electronic system on the Heybike is UL certified to UL 2849. And then here is a look at the specs on the battery. This is a 48 volt system, 680 watt hours, and the bike does come with a 2 amp charger. And then on the top of the battery here, there's a power button, which you can click and it'll illuminate that LED. That LED has 3 colors and tells you how much charge you have left in your battery. Now, because of this mid-drive motor and this fairly robust sized battery for a mid-drive e-bike, Heybike claims a range of about 60 miles, which seems pretty realistic. Now, if you're gonna be transporting your battery and or your e-bike anywhere, we do recommend a product, and that is gonna be our Bike Case Flame and Waterproof Battery Bag. This Heybike Alpha battery fits in there nicely. Simply roll the top down. It's a nice way to store your e-bike, transport it, or if you have an extra battery that you want to keep nice and safe, great to have. We sell those on our shop.ebikeescape.com store. Now, to put the battery back in, line up the port on the bottom, and then you just give it a good click right there, and the battery goes in. Again, keys are only needed to take the battery in and out, and don't forget to put your battery door back on, which will line up these two little pegs on the bottom first, and then pull down on the latch there. And I like to give it a little squeeze, make sure that latch is fully engaged so you don't have it accidentally fall out. This is a nice paint matched battery door also. Now bring you in nice and low here. We're not normally talking about the motor this early on in the overall review, but because it is a mid-drive, it's located up here in the front. This is a Galaxy eDrive motor that Heybike says was developed in-house. Now on the side here, I do see My Vice, which is a brand that I recognize. Now this motor is listed as a 500 watt motor. I'm assuming that's gonna be nominal. We're gonna be sure again to put that to the test up our hill climb, as well as just see how it is riding around. And it is also listed to have 105 Newton meters of torque, which is a pretty impressive output. Now, for anybody not familiar, the difference between a mid-drive and a hub drive motor, mid-drive right here, it is connected to the pedals, whereas a hub drive bike, the motor is located in the rear wheel. Now, one of the big differences about that is that a mid-drive motor, it's kind of like a car with a transmission. So you're putting power in through the motor, and it is going through a drivetrain and then going down to the road. Whereas on a hub drive bike, that motor power is going straight to the ground, not through a transmission. So this allows for a lot more variety. It also makes that this bike is gonna feel a lot more natural. It's gonna feel like a bike that's kind of giving you a little bit of an extra boost. Now, there are some other nuances about mid-drive e-bikes. We're gonna be talking about all of those in our first-person riding footage coming up just after the component walkthrough here. Moving back from the motor, we have a nice kickstand back out of the way, matching unbranded hydraulic disc brake lever in the rear, a little bit of Alpha branding on the rear seat stay. And then moving up, we have this pretty nice rear rack here. Comes complete with this strap for holding down some cargo, as well as you have these pannier hangers here on the side. Then as we come around to this side of the bike, here's where we get a look at that drivetrain. We have a Shimano Altus rear derailleur, which is moving the chain over an 11 to 32 tooth rear freewheel. And as we follow the chain up to the front here, we have a 42 tooth front chainring, which is mounted onto the side of that mid-drive motor. Working our way up to the seat, we have to pass this really nice UL certification sticker, as well as a little sticker here, which has all of the relevant information of the e-bike on it. And the last component on this bike that we should talk about before we go give it a test ride is gonna be this seat. Now, this is a fairly large seat compared to your traditional bike seat. It's a pretty soft seat. No real complaints from me here. But if you do want to add a little bit of extra comfort to your e-bike, I have to recommend another product. It's gonna be our Bike Case suspension seat post. Now that suspension seat post just adds a little bit of extra suspension to your rear, literally, and just adds a little bit extra cushion. Something else that we sell at our shop.ebikeescape.com store. Now, with all of that out of the way, how is the Alpha to ride, and can that mid-drive motor make it up our hill climb test? Let's find out. All right, here we are, riding portion of the test. Very excited for this part. I want to see what that Galaxy eDrive system is capable of. Now, before we get to the riding, I like to start all of these reviews with a throttle acceleration test. Quick note about the throttle on a mid-drive e-bike. It's not a common thing to find a throttle on a mid-drive e-bike, and that is going to be because it puts extra load through the drivetrain when you're just using the throttle to get off the line. So most manufacturers choose not to put a throttle. Heybike chose to include a throttle, which I am happy to see. And the choice that they decided to make is to disable the throttle when you're not moving, because the most load you're going to put on the drivetrain is when you're from a dead stop. And so if you try to put all that throttle in, you're putting extra wear and things like that on the drivetrain. So a little bit of a spoiler as well. Heybike also chose not to give you full access to the power through that throttle. I'll show you what I'm talking about here when we go to ride. Kick us all the way up to pedal assist level 5, and I'm going to shift down real quick. So we're going into gear 1. And then we will use that throttle and get going. Get us all turned around. So here we are, gear 1, pedal assist level 1. And I do have to use a little bit of pedaling to get off the line, and then I'm gonna jump right into the throttle. And I do have it on watts here on the meter so we can see how much wattage the throttle is giving us. And currently, because there's a little bit of a downhill, we're actually getting no wattage. We're getting 11, 12 miles an hour. And that is simply from gravity pulling us downhill. So the throttle on this bike almost seems like it's really not doing much of anything. Let's go ahead, let's stop again, and let's kick it down to pedal assist level 1 so I don't get all of that wattage. Get off the line here, saw it peak up to about 400 watts, And I'm going to stop pedaling and give it throttle. And again, not really getting any power here out of that throttle. Okay, there we go. 50 watts. It wasn't registering. It was going slow. Yeah, so looks like about 50 watts. And if we kick up pedal assist level, still same thing. We're getting about 50 watts out of the throttle. So the throttle's really not going to help you with much here on this bike. And I can't say I'm too sad about that, as mid-drive e-bikes really shine when you're pedaling. So let's show you what this bike is capable of and how that is. So pedal level 1, gear 1. Getting off the line here, we get, oh my gosh, 300 watts almost right away. I'd have to shift up seconds. We're getting up to 8 miles an hour. Gear 3, 9 miles an hour. And being this is an 8-speed, you get a little bit of extra range in the rear. I also like that the Heybike chose to put an 11 to 32 tooth, my favorite freewheel that they make out there. And there we go. Looks like I'd even shift up a little bit more here. And I mean, we're getting no wattage. Okay, there we go. We saw about 50 watts there, 11, 12 miles an hour. We'll probably shift up again, 7. And so, yeah, it looks like pedal level 1, the highest I saw was about 150 to 200 watts at times. There you go. We're seeing about 13, 14 miles an hour. Looks like there's almost about a mile per hour difference between the GPS speed and the display speed. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, so here we're getting 100 watts or so in pedal level 1. Now let's go ahead and kick it up pedal level 2. Yep, saw the wattage immediately jump up. Now we're seeing almost a sustained 150, 200 watts. And like every mid-drive e-bike out there, this is going to be a torque sensor. So what a torque sensor is, if I put in more power, the bike is going to give me more power. So I'm going to spin my legs just a touch faster, and we instantly see 350, 400 watts. Whereas if I slow it back down to that nice easy cadence I had before, it takes the bike a minute to slow itself down, and we're going to see that 150, 200 watts. So this is why most people say that torque sensors feel a bit more natural, because the bike rewards you putting in more power. So here we go. Let's kick it up pedal level 3 here, still in gear 5, about 200, 250 watts sustained, and 14 to 15 miles an hour here, depending on if we believe the GPS or the display. I'm going to go with the GPS. Now you can adjust the wheel size and that would bring that down, but this is how the bike came shipped to me. So we're just showing you what it does. Give it a little turn here, and then here we are, nice straightaway. So yeah, 12, 13 miles an hour, 300 watts. Kick it up, pedal level 4 here. 260 watts. Yeah, I would definitely have to shift up 6. 300 watts, 7th. Yep, that 300 watts, and it's instantly trying to carry me up to 20, 17, 15, 17, yeah, 16, 17, and I'm going to shift all the way up into 8th there. And this, again, is in pedal level 4. Still have one more gear, and we're doing 16 miles an hour with very little ease, 17. This bike is very capable, and I know that motor says it's a 500-watt motor, but I have a feeling it's going to peak quite a bit higher than that here in pedal level 5. Right, keeping the same cadence. Yes, instantly 600 watts, and we're getting up to 20 miles an hour here. And I'm just going to give it just a little bit more effort. Bike instantly rewards it. I mean, at 24, I'm not out of breath, if you can hear. And the bike is just rewarding me with giving me a lot of power here. I mean, I'm seeing almost 600 watts sustained on that display. All right, now that I have us turned around, let's see what we can do pedal level 5 to get up to speed. We're going to start from a dead stop, pedal level 5 at gear 1. How quickly can we get up to those higher or mid to higher 20 mile per hour speeds? Let off the brake instantly. Oh, okay, 930 watts, shift up to 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. All right, we were in the top gear. Again, that little bit of a discrepancy here, seeing about 22, 23. If you can hear, I'm not out of breath, so I'm not putting in a ton of effort, but I am putting in effort. 24, 25. Can we get to 20? Let's see. How much effort do I have to put in to get to 26? Yeah, 26, 27. I think because of the speed discrepancy between the display and the GPS, the bike is actually cutting back power because it thinks it's at that class 3 max speed of 28 miles an hour via pedaling. Now, one thing I do want to note, I did have to be a little bit careful of there, is when I was accelerating and pedaling really fast, I did let off a little bit of the torque through my legs so that I wasn't shocking the drivetrain on every shift. That's just a choice that I make. We have seen other bikes where they'll put a shift sensor in there to make sure that you're not doing that. So that is what this bike is capable of on flat ground. What can that motor do up a hill climb? And can it achieve those high claimed torque numbers? Let's find out. All right, here we are, bottom of the hill for the hill climb test. This is the hill that I test all the bikes on the channel on. Now, typically we do this part of the testing in 2 sections. First time we go up under throttle power alone, then we come back down, give the brakes test, go back up under pedal power and give those pedal assist levels a test. I don't have a lot of confidence that this bike is going to make it very far up this hill under throttle power alone, but not to say that it's because it's an underpower motor or it's not capable. It's just that, like as we saw in the riding portion, Heybike made some choices on the throttle usage to make it so that it wasn't going to overpower the drivetrain or things like that. So I'm going to actually switch it here to M, and I'm going to put amps here on the display so you can see how many amps the throttle gives us. Now I have to give it a little bit of pedaling here to get off the line. Then I can jump right into throttle here. And looks like we're getting about 6 or 7 amps, up to about 7-8 miles an hour here. And the amperage there stopped at about 9-10. There you go. It's now going to hold us about 4, 5, 6 amps. There we go, 7. I'm going to crank it all the way up to pedal level 5. I don't believe the throttle is tied to any sort of pedal assist level, but here we go, about 8 miles an hour, 7, and I can feel it starting to struggle quite a bit here. Yeah, the amperage is dropping 5, 4, and same thing with the speed, 3. There we go. The amps are almost dropping with the speed, and that right there is going to be the limit of what this bike is capable of going up under throttle power alone. And that's just because, like I said, you're not getting full access to power via the throttle. So here we go. Let's go back down. I'm going to give the brakes a quick squeeze here and see how the bike slows down. Oh yeah, locked up that rear without a problem. These brakes, even though they're unbranded, feel pretty good. Loop us back around here. We're going to kick us down to pedal assist level 1, shift all the way down to gear 1. Now here's where I expect this bike to shine just quite a bit more on this hill climb, because that motor felt quite powerful in the riding. I have a lot of hope for it here going up the hill. All right, here we go. Starting out. Pedal level 1, gear 1, and 10 miles an hour. I'm ghost pedaling. I would probably shift up here seconds, probably even up here into 3rd. And we're getting a couple amps here. I'm going to switch actually to wattage for this part. And we're getting about 150, 200 watts. I would probably shift down to 2nd. And we're getting about 7-8 miles an hour. Pretty consistently there. Kick it up, pedal level 2. Instantly feel that wattage jump up. 300. Feels like somebody's holding the back of my seat now and pushing me up the hill, which is what you like from a mid-drive. Still feels like a normal cycling experience, but you're getting a little bit extra boost when you need it. I could probably ride all the way up the hill like this to conserve some battery, but we're going to show you what this motor is capable of. So let's go ahead and kick it up again. You know, I'm seeing somewhere between 400 and 500 watts. Looks like 400 is pretty much 350 to 400, and we're getting 7-8 miles an hour. I could get up most hills, and since this is a mid-drive and a torque sensor, if I give just a little bit more effort out of my legs, it's going to rocket me right up the hill. But I'm trying to keep the same easy cadence all the way up. You can hear on camera I'm not out of breath. So here we go, kick it up, pedal level 4. And yeah, 7-8 miles an hour, but I'd say the bike is just a bit more touchy per se, which means that if I just twist my legs a little bit faster, the bike just shoots me up. I saw 800 watts there. Kick it up, pedal level 5. And 9-10 miles an hour, hill kind of tapers off, but I mean, you're not going to need to go up hills in pedal level 5 unless you really don't want to work to get up that hill, or maybe it's a really steep hill. So there we go. That is the mid-drive motor. Put the test up the hill climb. Again, didn't make it up under throttle power alone, but it did absolutely make it up under pedaling power, which most people shopping for a mid-drive e-bike, that is what you want to see. So that wraps up all of the tests and the components. But should you still consider the Heybike Alpha? And what are some other quirks maybe that didn't come across in the review? Well, let's talk about it.
Heybike has packed so much into this e-bike that we rarely see anything with this much value for sub $2,400, let alone for $1,699, or better if you can find it on sale like it was at time of filming. Scan that QR code or check the link in the description to check the best current price. Now let's dive into why the Alpha is such a steal and where it might cause you to have to surface a bit early. For Heybike's first go in a mid-drive, the Galaxy eDrive system was impressive, at least while pedaling. It had no issues taking me up to that 28 mph top speed on flat ground and was such a joy to pedal. The torque sensor is well tuned and felt natural. The throttle behavior was a bit off, but more on that in a minute. The color LCD display was easy to read and see, providing all of the rider information I needed from that Galaxy system. The battery is a touch on the smaller side at 14 amp hours, but thanks to that torque sensor and mid-drive system, Heybike estimates a solid 60-mile range, which again, given the price point, is quite impressive. The Alpha continues to impress with being certified to UL 2849, which means that the entire electrical system meets this standard. And it comes fully outfitted, meaning that you get a Shimano drivetrain, hydraulic disc brakes, rear rack, and one of the more impressive lighting packages that we've seen. Most notably, on that lighting package, you get an auto on-off, as well as blinkers. The Alpha still comes in 2 frame options, a step through or a high step, but each frame is only available in that classic Henry Ford color palette of one color option, being black or white. Both frames sport a 400-pound payload capacity, which means that these e-bikes can handle you, your gear, and maybe even a week's worth of groceries. Now let's talk about the flip side, because no e-bike is without its shortfalls, and to hit such a killer price, Heybike did have to make some compromises. There's limited color options, an entry-level Shimano Altus drivetrain, non-locking rubber grips, unbranded fat tires, and unbranded brakes, just to name a few. Now, to be clear, the no-name brakes caused no issues during my review, but they are just something that you may want to keep an eye on, as I have ran into issues on previous Heybike models with the brakes. Another cost-saving measure is going to be the one-size-fits-most frame, as well as a non-adjustable cockpit, which can result in a suboptimal riding position for some riders. The next biggest concern for me on the Alpha has to be that throttle. While it is nice to see a throttle included on a mid-drive e-bike, which is not always a given, it is a bit quirky. What do I mean by that? Well, it has a capped output of sub 200 watts, and it has an inability to be used from a stop. It means that you cannot use it to blast off the line or zip across an intersection, making it something that I would really just avoid using and probably just end up removing. With all of that said, $16.99 for a mid-drive fat tire e-bike is just impressive. So the question just really becomes, what are the benefits and compromises of going mid-drive versus hub drive? A mid-drive motor just feels more connected while using pedal assist, as the power is going straight from your legs through the drivetrain like your traditional bike, and you get to leverage all of those gears on any type of terrain. The biggest downside on mid-drive e-bikes is the potential for drivetrain issues, like a broken chain, which is why Heybike really gave us that quirky throttle. Being that this is a fat tire e-bike, you could find yourself off-road breaking a chain, and it's going to be really inconvenient. Whereas if this was a hub drive e-bike, you could simply throttle back without the need for the motor to go through the chain to power your bike. Also, the Alpha does lack a shift sensor, so avoid shifting under any load. Just do a quick pause briefly while you're shifting to get a nice smooth shift. It's hard to argue with such a wallet-friendly priced e-bike that delivers this serious bang for your buck. The feature-loaded machine is great for anyone from your dedicated commuter to the casual cruiser, or heck, really anyone who wants the premium perks without the premium price tag. Again, the Alpha is currently on sale, so check the affiliate link below for the latest pricing or scan that QR code. Both of those are free and easy ways to support us here at eBike Escape. Thank you all so much for the support. As this is only our second time featuring a Heybike product, we don't really have any great insight into Heybike's customer support. However, Heybike's Facebook community may serve as a helpful resource for prospective buyers. And if you own your own Heybike, let us know how it's been in the comments down below. You may help someone looking to make a choice and provide us with great insight to share. Thank you guys so much for watching. Ride safe, everyone, and I will catch you all in the next one.